As a final drop of rankings week, the good folks over at EA Sports gave us the overall team ratings. We have a lot to talk about. If you've been living under a rock and don't know what I'm talking about, let me inform you about the heinous crimes committed today by Electronic Arts. But before I break this thing apart limb from limb, you probably could use a refresher on what the top 25 ratings were. Georgia is a 95 overall. Ohio State and Oregon are 93 overalls. Alabama and Texas are 92 overalls. Clemson, Notre Dame, and LSU are 90 overalls. Penn State, Utah, Michigan, Florida State, Miami, Texas A&M, and Ole Miss are 88 overalls. Colorado, Oklahoma, Wisconsin, USC, Virginia Tech, NC State, Kansas, Arizona, Oklahoma State, and Iowa are all 87 overalls. I wouldn't be surprised if there are other 87s and they just ran out of space to list them, but that was the entire top 25. That's the order they chose to list them in. Not really sure what went into separating teams that were in this same overall tier, but that's what they had it in. So let's address the massive elephant in the room that is staring daggers right through us.
Oh, great heavens!
By EA's ratings, Colorado is the 16th best team in the game and leads off the grouping of 87 overall teams. A team fresh off a 4-1 season that averaged just the 25th best player in the portal behind teams like South Carolina and Michigan State is the 16th best team in the game. Now, there's a couple of reasons why this could be the case. The first one, and likely the most realistic of my theories, is the marketing pool that Colorado creates. Yes, the majority of this game is for the diehard college football fan, but it's EA. They still need to try and grab some of the more casual fans that are on the fence about the game. And how do you do that? With one of the most popular teams in the country. They had to artificially juice the numbers because there are a lot of Colorado football fans that are not college football fans. They just really want Deion to succeed. They don't share our joy in watching BYU Oklahoma State at 7:30 on a Saturday night. They are likely watching one college football game on Saturday, and it's Colorado. For EA, it's essentially a marketing tactic. It's annoying to us college football fans because it makes zero logical sense given everything we know about this team and the sport, but it's just smart marketing when you get down to the nitty-gritty. My next theory is that the ratings team does not actually watch college football, and I don't think this to be true, but based on Colorado's ratings and some others, I could see it being so. They say they worked with PFF to develop these rankings, and I know there's some divisiveness when it comes to PFF, but no matter how you feel about them, they would not come up with something like this. The way EA has had this slow release of information over the past couple of weeks has been fantastic, but it's created a glaring issue in my mind. Every development team is filled with diehard college football fans that want this game just as much as you and I, and to be perfect, except one. And it seems like it's the ratings department. See, I say that in one sentence, but then I look and see Virginia Tech is rated 87 overall. There's no way a casual would put the Hokies in the top 25. The diehard, however, knows exactly how good this team can be this year. Just kind of seems odd overall. The last theory, and probably the most outlandish, but wouldn't surprise me to be true, is that Deion's camp paid EA to give them a favorable light where they could. Listen, I know this is far-fetched, but hear me out. Deion is struggling on the field right now because A, Colorado has been one of the worst Power 5 programs since 2006, and B, he doesn't have his guys in the program right now. He's not going to get wins on the field with the hand he's been dealt at the program, so he needs wins off the field. Getting some of his guys drafted next year is one of them. Having a ton of primetime games before the year even starts is another. But what else could he possibly do to add another pitch to his repertoire? How about using one of the most anticipated sports game releases of all time to garner more interest in his program from recruits? Think about it. What has happened since EA has released these rankings? Everyone is talking about Colorado football. Heck, I'm making a video on it. You know what they say? All press is good press. Not only is everybody talking about them, though, but because of their high rating, people in future recruits are going to be using them in head-to-head play or even in their dynasty. They'll develop some sort of connection with that school. It's just a theory, but when you break it down like I just did, it has a little bit of legs to it. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Okay, enough about Colorado. There's other teams we need to talk about. But before we do, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We're almost to 500 subs. Let's see if we can get there before the release of the game. Also, with the new Dynasty Deep Dive coming out next week, you're going to want to know when my video comes out on that. Okay, the rest of the list. I don't have an issue with the top three. In my opinion, they got the order right. Georgia, Ohio State, and Oregon are just a cut above the rest. Alabama and Texas feel like they have a little too much juice to me in the rating section, but I like their placing in the ranking. Clemson at a 90 overall is one of the more ridiculous things I've seen. They should probably be around the 87 overall mark, and even that might be generous. I agreed for the most part with their defensive ranking, but their offense is nowhere close to an 87 overall. It's just not. Notre Dame is maybe a bit too rich for my liking, but I can get behind them 100% as a top 10 team, and even a 90 overall, I'm pretty okay with. What I don't think I can get behind, though, is them in front of Penn State and Michigan. I think both of those teams are better. LSU at a 90 overall is just too much in my opinion. As good as the offense might be, the defense is going to have to prove it to me on the field first before I give them the benefit of the doubt. But I do wonder what they do with Harold Perkins' ratings. Had a great freshman year in 2022. 2023 was down. There's no other way around it. He didn't play very well. So I wonder if they just give him the benefit of the doubt because of the 2022 season, or if they give him a rating reflective of his performance last season. Utah at 88 feels more like, oh, it's just Kyle Whittingham, they'll be fine. And while I absolutely agree with that defensively, Cam Rising hasn't played a snap since the 2023 Rose Bowl, and their best offensive weapon is 24-year-old Brent Kuthi. Michigan is being disrespected a little. I think their defense was too low rated, but I'm okay with the offense not being rated very highly because they haven't proved it on the field yet. Once they do, they can get that rating bumped up in future updates. Florida State is a little high at 88, but it's because they have to replace a lot of great talent. A lot of guys went to the draft last year, and I don't quite know what DJ will be just quite yet, but I'm not too peeved by the ranking. Miami is one of those teams that I actually agree with a lot, and I know this is probably going to be a controversial statement because a lot of people don't like Miami and probably think this is too high, but hear me out on this one. They have so much talent on both sides of the ball. On paper, that team is 100% top 15 and probably close to a top 10. The problem is they never fulfill that on the field, and that's due to coaching or some other external factor. But there's absolutely no way you can question this team's talent, which is kind of what this game's rating system is about. They killed the transfer portal and have done a spectacular job recruiting since Cristobal got there. Top 10 classes both years, top 5 class last year. A&M is another one where the talent is there, it just hasn't been realized on the field. With Mike Elko there now, I feel like it will. Don't have too big of an issue with their rating. Ole Miss at 88 is just plain disrespectful. They belong in the top 10 without a shadow of a doubt and probably should be a 90 to 91 overall. They brought in the number 1 transfer class to a team that won 11 games and made Penn State look lost on the field. I don't know how they are even close to some of the teams that are around them. Oklahoma at 87 feels about right. Wisconsin at 87 feels a little too high. Feels like they're putting a lot of faith in Ches Malusi and Tyler Van Dyke. USC is simply too high given that their defense is a heaping pile of dog poop. And as good as Miller Moss played in that bowl game, we simply cannot make that big of an inference on that small of a sample size. I'd probably knock them down a few rankings to like an 85. Virginia Tech feels high at 87, but I'm high on them as well, so I'm going to leave it there. They probably should be a little bit lower, though. NC State might need a little bump to 88 overall. Splitting hairs there, but I genuinely don't know how they're on the same plane as USC or Wisconsin. Kansas, in my opinion, is too high. Kansas State should be flipped with them. K-State should actually probably be an 88. I would probably drop Kansas to an 86, though, so nothing too serious. Arizona at 87 feels right if Utah is also an 87. I don't think those two can have different ratings. They feel like a very similar rated team, in my opinion. Oklahoma State at 87 is pretty good. Maybe 86 is better, but I feel pretty okay with that rating. Iowa at 87, like Wisconsin, feels high. That defense is fantastic, but you got to show it to me on the field first with the offense. I just cannot get behind an Iowa team that averaged like 13 points per game being an 87 overall. It's nothing against them personally, but I think they only had an 88 overall defense, which would mean that their offense is like an 86, and that's just not okay. Some very noticeable misses. No Tennessee or Missouri is absolutely criminal. There is no way you can exclude both those teams. They are top 15 teams, and it should not even be a question. I already mentioned Kansas State, and Auburn is another one that should definitely be on this list. Not long after these ratings came out, I came up with an idea. Why doesn't EA ask Vegas odds makers what teams' ratings should be in the game? Vegas literally has already created a system that assigns point values to every team at the D1 level. Why not use that to help create accurate rankings? Or even ask Bill Connolly what his rankings are in SP+. That would give you a better list than what you have out currently. And Vegas is more right than wrong. And even when they are wrong, it's usually not by much. Here's how it would look if they took Vegas's ratings for the 2024 season. Number 1, Georgia. Number 2, Ohio State. Number 3, Texas. Number 4, Oregon. Number 5, Alabama. So same top 5. Number 6, Ole Miss. Number 7, LSU. Number 8, Penn State. Number 9, Notre Dame. Number 10, Michigan. Number 11, Florida State. 12 is Tennessee. 13 is Missouri. 14 is Texas A&M. Clemson is 15. Miami is 16. USC 17. 18 is Utah. 19, Oklahoma. 20, Kansas State. 21, NC State. 22, Louisville. 23, Auburn. 24, Kansas. And rounding it out, 25, Arizona. Doesn't that list feel so much better than the one EA came out with? I personally feel much more comfortable with that being the list than the one that they just dropped. The good news is these ratings won't matter all that much. The devs have already said the ratings can and will be adjusted during updates based on on-field play during the season, which is good to know. Plus, after your first year in Dynasty, all the ratings are going to be different anyway. It really only affects your RTG and how quickly you'll be able to start at certain schools, at certain positions, but you'll have plenty of time to earn those spots. I really think EA did a great job marketing the game this week. I made 2 videos, and I know there were plenty others that were made. Twitter was blowing up in outrage. There were articles written, and even Josh Pate did a whole segment on it during one of his live shows this week. If you want to see a marketing masterclass on how to get everybody to talk about you, it's this. Was it a little clickbaity? Maybe. I would probably lean to yes, but it worked. They got their engagement. They got the hype of the game. If it already wasn't super high, it's even higher. It's only going to continue to rise with the Dynasty Deep Dive next week. I mean, just amazing marketing strategy from EA this week. I kind of give them an applause because while I hated their rankings, I'm talking about them. You're talking about them. You're watching this video because you felt a certain type of way about them. So great job, even though it pissed me off a little bit. Pound that like button if you enjoyed today's video. I would really appreciate it. It greatly helps my channel and the video. There will be more content coming just around the corner, so make sure you subscribe. You don't want to miss it. Dynasty Deep Dive video coming on Tuesday, so you better be ready. Hit that notification bell to get it immediately when it drops. Thank you all so much for watching. See ya.